I've stuck it out. I've tried to stay connected with other people who are doing this. And at this point, I've lost about 145 pounds.
I'd like to welcome to the show Anita from Ketogenic Woman. How are you doing, Anita?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be here.
I am too, actually. So tell us about your health journey that led you to eating the carnivore way.
I didn't go to carnivore or even keto for health. I went to lose weight. That was the start of the journey. I didn't realize how unhealthy I was, which is mind-boggling when I think about it, because you can imagine a person who's in the 300-pound range. It was over 320 pounds
Wow.
at one point. And I thought my only problem was that I weighed too much. It never occurred to me that there was underlying health issues and that a lot of things were wrong. I just thought, just solve that problem and everything's perfect. It was a disconnect that I had, I think. So I started with low carb, actually. That was my first kick at the can of reducing carbs, trying to get my weight under control. And that did work for a while. And then gradually I learned about keto and went down that road. And I did hear about carnivore in there. It was early days of carnivore. And I thought it was a fanatical thing, a crazy thing. I thought it was like fringe. And so I did actually try it for 30 days back then. And thought, okay, that was interesting. But then I went back to low carb keto because I was still really addicted to all the keto treats and the recipes and just loved doing all that kind of thing. But as my journey went on, I slowly started realizing that I had some food sensitivities, and I went off meds that I was on for acid reflux, and boy, those food sensitivities just reared their ugly head once I was medication free. It was like almost every vegetable I ate, especially nightshades, most seasonings. There were so many. I think I can count on my hand how many vegetables I'm actually safe to eat without feeling sick for the rest of the couple of days or whatever. So I started realizing that there was just more to this than this just being a weight loss thing, that there were things going on inside, and just started really getting cleaner and cleaner and learning, and took another look at that weird carnivore thing and realized there was a lot more people out there doing it. There was videos, there were books even. And yeah, then the rest is history, I guess. Here I am.
So while you were doing the keto low carb, you were losing weight, so you had this goal.
Yes.
And so how did that sort of pan out? What was the general timeline for your weight loss journey?
Yeah, I lost the first 50 or 60 pounds, came off pretty quick, probably a few months, because I was gung-ho and just really did my macros and all that kind of thing. But things really slowed down and life happened, and then I kept wavering. So I would be really, really strict for a while. I would keep my 20 carbs or less, net carbs, of course. Back then it was all about net carbs. And I would just keep going back to the food for periods of time. Something would happen. I would go back to carbs for a few weeks or even just a few days. And then I would have to hit. The result of all that back and forth was that I really made no progress for a number of years. I made progress at first, then a lot of no progress, a lot of hitting my head against the wall. And that's when I started to clean things up. I figured out that I needed a little more fat. I needed a little less keto desserts. So I cleaned up over time. And yeah, it's been really slow. Like the last couple of years, the progress has been slow, but there's still been progress. I've learned to embrace the plateaus and the stalls as maybe my body is doing something else besides losing weight. And thank goodness for people out there like Kelly Hogan, people like her that talk about that, because I thought that weight loss should have been more linear and, doing something wrong and what am I doing wrong? And I learned a lot from her and listening to her videos and her interviews on YouTube that there's a lot more going on than just weight loss. Your body is doing all kinds of things. It's healing your pre-diabetes. It's healing joints and things. I could barely go for a walk. I had plantar fasciitis. I had all kinds of joint pain. It was hard to go for a walk around the block even. And I just realized that, okay, these things are all under repair. There's a lot going on that's under repair here. It's not just my weight. And so I've just hung in there. I've stuck it out. I've tried to stay connected with other people who are doing this. And at this point, I've lost about 145 pounds.
God, that's incredible. I just think how much that is. I can't imagine. That would be like getting one of my, in fact, it would be heavier than my 15-year-old son, carrying him around on my shoulders the entire, it's
a whole person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever think back and go, how did I even get up out of a chair and walk around?
Yeah, I'm sure that my future, had I done nothing 10 years ago, I'm sure that today I would not be able to get up out of a chair by myself. I'm certain of it.
Yeah.
I would need some kind of assistance or one of those special chairs.
Yeah. So was there...
My dad had one that could boost you out.
Yeah, it's like...
Have you ever seen those ones? When my dad was in his 80s, he had that.
Yeah, it was like a little hydraulic thing that kind of...
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So was there a...
That would have been me.
Yeah, that was your future self, possible future self. So was there a turning point where, so you're cleaning up the keto diet and you thought, okay, I'm just going to go carnivore now? Did something occur that sort of had you go, okay, that's it?
Yeah, there actually was a turning point. I don't know if I saw it at the time as being the turning point, but when I look back, I realized, yeah, that's when I really started to get serious about this. I think I had, at that time, lost about 80 to 100 pounds. And my dad passed away. And when that was in 2017, and at the same time that happened, I realized that my mom was in big trouble. I realized, oh, my dad's been covering for her. It was very clear that she was not able to take care of herself, that dementia had set in. There was lots of little clues, little things that I had noticed before that, but I just put it off to her aging. I just thought, no, that she's getting forgetful. She's, these are all things that seemed like it could just be aging. But once he was gone, I realized that he was really her buffer to the world. He was really doing everything, and she couldn't live alone anymore. There wasn't any way. And so I became her caregiver, basically. And doing that really opened my eyes to what could be my future, what likely was going to be my future. She was also about 100 pounds overweight. But being her caregiver, I was attending her doctor's appointments and doing all that. And I never knew that she had diabetes and that she had high blood pressure. What else did she have? I can't remember everything she had, but there was 4 or 5 things that she was on medications for, or was supposed to be on medications for, but her dementia prevented her from following those things correctly. And she was just in a really bad way. And she also was very addicted to sweets. It was really hard when it came to the food because I was trying to clean up my food, and she wanted junk food, she wanted sweets, all that. It was really hard to deal with the food, and I had to give in a lot to her. She's a tough cookie to deal with. It was not fun. It was not a fun part of my life, but I'm glad that it happened for 2 reasons. One, I mean, I'm not glad that, she had dementia and all that, but I'm glad that I had that opportunity to spend those 5 years with her, because it really turned me around as far as my health goes. It was a blessing in disguise in that respect. I felt like this was do or die, that I had to make some serious changes. She could not get out of a chair or off the couch without some help. We had to get some special things for her to support her getting off the couch, getting in and out of bed. There was a lot of things like that were happening. And some of those had been happening even prior to this. When she was my age, she was having trouble getting out of a chair at that point. So this just progressed even further. But I guess it really made me tune into my why. I think you really have to have a why when you have a long journey ahead of you. Someone who's facing a weight loss journey of over 100 pounds, it's easy to get lost on the way. And I think that kind of describes what was happening to me in those first few years. I would get lost on the way because I didn't have a really strong why to attach myself to. And ever since being with my mom for those last 5 years of her life, I just feel so connected to why I'm doing this. And why I'm doing it is not to be a burden to my kids. And I'm not saying she was a burden. She was a difficult person, but I don't want to say she was a burden, because I also appreciate the time we got to know each other and understand each other better. But it was very difficult, and I don't want to put my kids through that. One of the hardest things for me was seeing her loss of dignity play out. There was times when she would fall, you needed 3 people to get her back up. And so that was always a call to 911, and the local guys would come and get her back up. And for her, it was such a loss of dignity, and it hurt me to watch it. And I don't want my kids to go through that. Yeah, that's really part of it. And then also seeing others that are my age going through these difficult times, when I know now that for the most part, it's preventable. That is my other why. Another part of it is to show people that no, it's never too late. You can be 65 and still lose weight. You can be there's people who follow me that are 70, 80. I have people who leave comments, I'm 84 and I'm doing a 5K run next, I'm like, okay. You can be an older age and still be happy and free and moving around and doing the things you want. And I want everybody to know that.
So what do you think it is that people allow their health to deteriorate to that point that you, like what you saw with your mum, like what we see a lot around us all the time? What do you think it is that people allow that to occur?
I think part of it can be lack of education about nutrition. I didn't understand that I was addicted to carbs and sugar. I didn't understand why, if someone was, I didn't understand why that was a problem. So I didn't have any of that kind of knowledge. And my parents certainly didn't have it. They were immigrants here, and they just adopted the North American way of eating, which is not all that healthy. So I think that's part of it. And the other part of it is that people do become addicted to these things, whether they know it or not. Highly processed food, we're hearing more and more about how addictive highly processed foods are. And even the ones that are marked healthy, even the ones that are marked keto, those are highly addictive foods because of the processing. And I don't know if people realize that. It doesn't have to be even fast food. It can be something you buy off your grocery store shelf. I feel like we need to get back to eating foods that don't have a label, just a single ingredient. Something you can recognize when you look at it. Oh, that's meat. Or that's a vegetable.
I think about that particular question a lot myself, and I guess that's part of what I try to do is to show people you don't have to accept the usual statistical sort of viewpoint, which is that as you get older, your muscles get smaller, you won't be able to move as quickly, you'll lose, especially for men. Like I'm 52, so in my age, it's generally accepted that you'll have less power, less mobility, less flexibility. All those things will all go in reverse. But it's still just a statistic, and I feel like it's just an average, and that believing in statistics just will have you become a statistic. Whereas
I
if you think
yeah,
of it a different
yeah,
way.
I agree with that. I once had a doctor tell me, I think I was 39, because she said to me, once you're 40, you won't be able to lose any more weight. And I carried that around in my mind
Mm.
forever until I got serious. It was like I'm 40, I'm 50 now, I'm 55 now. There's no hope. I let it come in and live there. And I think I was just talking about the food a minute ago, but you brought up the whole body, you're like your physical body, your movement, your muscles, all those things, your systems, all the different things that go on in your body. We expect and are told that those things are just going to age away and that it's normal to start feeling aches and pains. It's normal for your joints to hurt as you're getting
Mm.
older. We're told this. We learn this. I don't know who tells us, but it's kind of part of our culture to think, oh yeah, we're getting old. Oh, I'm going to sit in the chair and just relax and watch TV. It's almost like it's part of the culture.
There's that phrase, I'm getting older now. I'm getting older now,
Yeah.
so I can't. I'm trying to just remove that from my vocabulary completely. But it's such a ingrained thing to say, isn't it? And
Yep.
I read this book when I think I was a teenager. It was by Shad Helmstetter, and it was called "What You Say When You Talk to Yourself." And it was a very
Okay.
simple message that the things that we say to ourselves when we talk to ourselves actually are like a self-fulfilling prophecy, no matter what they actually are. So be mindful of what you say to yourself.
Yeah.
What's the biggest challenge that you're facing with your health right now?
Right now, it's my knee because I had an injury in July upon an existing injury. I was at the doctor last week and they're recommending a knee replacement, and I expected them to say that. So that's something that may or may not happen. I'm taking some time to think about that and to look at alternatives and things. But I've been told this for 10 years that this is going to happen. So I don't know what the outcome of that will be, or I haven't made a decision yet. But that is, I guess, my biggest challenge because it is a little bit limiting. I have to be careful with it. However, I'm not letting it stop me with movement. I'm doing 100 squat a day challenge, even if
100.
it's modified. 100, yeah, yeah, and
Right.
I've been doing them. Not all at once. I spread those things out morning, noon, afternoon, and night. I do a set. Wall push-ups, some hand weights, and walking. I'm staying active, but that is my biggest challenge right now.
Okay. And is that a condition that's improved as you change your diet, especially once you started to go carnivore, or is it just something that you've been able to keep at bay for longer, do you think?
It definitely improved when I went carnivore. This injury, when I fell at the end of July, I was sure it was that I had fractured something. The pain was so great.
Mm.
And I felt it was almost catastrophic. I was really worried. And right around the same time, I started to eat more protein and just make sure that I did whatever I could to uh, use nutrition. I eat some kind of seafood almost every day. Like I eat sardines, salmon, cod livers, that sort of thing, to get those omega 3s. And so to me, the fact that I can do the squats and the walking and those sorts of things, I think it's a good sign. So I'm just gonna keep going this way and see what further healing might happen. That's all I can do, really.
When you think about it, in your knees, and anytime there's ligaments and joints involved, it's very limited blood supply. So it takes a long time for things to heal. But wouldn't it be cool if you could actually reverse that condition?
It would be nice. I was at the point where the pain wasn't bothering me before I fell back in July. I was at the point where I would forget that I had the injury, whereas for those first few years, it just was always there nagging. If I spent more than an hour on my feet, I would have to go and ice my knee. It definitely did improve. And so I do have some hopes that there'll be some more improvement.
So what's the best thing about eating the carnivore way for you?
How simple and easy it is. And I would argue even that it might even be a money-saving thing, depending on the types of foods you're used to eating. I like going to the store and I don't even go down the aisles. I just go around to the meat and dairy and just pick out a few things. And then just cooking is so easy. Throw a steak on the air fryer or in the pan. There's so many less decisions to make. I just remember how many times you get those nice big salad containers, all the different mixed fresh veggies and things. Those things would rot in my fridge. Like I would buy the organic one. I would buy the best ones. I'm going to have salads every day this week. And a week later, they're slimy and I have to throw them out. So for me, I think it's less wasteful.
Yeah, I agree. I really enjoy that too, like meat section, dairy section, eggs. That's it.
Yep.
Done.
That is it.
And I'm always fascinated to see, what's the new stuff in the meat section? Do they have any roasts here today? Or just to see what's actually
I know. It's exciting. It's exciting when you discover a new meat shop too. Boy, I had that happen this last week.
Oh, did you? Tell us about that.
So I had one, actually, I went to one yesterday because I'm working on a Oktoberfest pork recipe. And here, I moved to this new part of where I live, over on Vancouver Island, and I don't know where to go and get the meats here. And so I could not find pork hocks anywhere. So I Googled it, and there was a place 20 minutes away by car. And I thought, I really want to make this recipe, so I'm going to go there. This was one of the best places I've ever seen. I'm going to go back. I meant to pick up 2 pork hocks, and I picked up, like, I could barely carry the bag out of the store. It was so heavy. I mean, they had ground bacon, and I picked this up, and I was like, ground bacon? And I looked at the woman, I said, is there anything else in this? And she goes, nope, just ground bacon.
Ooh,
I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but they had stuff like that. Unusual things that I've never seen anywhere. So yeah, always an adventure.
I'd like to try that. It actually made me think about when you said ground. I thought it'd be cool to have a mincer. I don't actually have a mincer. I have a Kenwood, so I could get the mincer attachment to it. But I saw, I don't know if you know the channel Nia's Way. I saw her.
Yes.
Yeah, she's really good. Hopefully I'll have her on the channel at some point. But she was using a mincer, and I thought, that's really good. Like, she's putting in different meats in there. Oh, that's a novel idea.
I need to get one of those too. Yeah, I would get one of those for sure.
Yeah, and being able to make your own sausages too would be really cool, because most of the time sausages have got some sort of filler in them, and I think, oh God,
yes,
good just not to have that.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you have any favorite meals that you eat often?
I go through stages. Right now, I'm eating a lot of salmon fillets in the air fryer. I really like those. And steak bites. I like cooking a steak, but I also like chopping it up into pieces, throw it in the air fryer just for a few minutes, because I like my meat medium rare to rare. And it's so fast and easy, and it's bite-sized pieces, so I don't even have to cut it up.
Yeah, that sounds good. I make the pork belly bites, which I think came from you. I'm pretty sure. They're really good. Yeah, kids really like those too.
Yeah.
Although my small children won't eat them yet, my older kids do. So I've got to try steak bites and see if they'll eat those, because I think they probably would. So I wanted to ask you about a little bit about your journey as a content creator, if you like. So what made you decide to start your own YouTube channel?
I had a blog, like just a website of recipes. Once I started losing weight, people at work and in my friends and families would say, "What are you doing? And I would make recipes. I've always loved to cook, just love cooking. So I would just come up with ways to take what we normally ate and turn it into keto. And that was something that I really enjoyed doing. And people would ask me for recipes, so I would write it out. And then I thought, oh, I'm just going to put it on the computer. And then that turned into a website. So I had that website for about 5 or 6, 7 years and met a lot of other people who had websites too. Just like YouTube is a community, there's also a community of people who blog and who do websites, and particularly food websites, food recipe sites. And they would say things like, oh, you should go on YouTube. Oh, you should go on YouTube. And I just got that encouragement from a lot of different people. And I guess that opportunity came during COVID. I was at home. I had more time. I did work from home, but I didn't have to go to an office, and I had more time to think about things. And yeah, it sort of started in COVID. I happen to have a family member who does, she does, not YouTube videos, she does music videos. She was in a band, and so she had all the equipment. Right. And she was like, yeah, I'll help you. Let's do this. And so we became partners in this adventure because I knew how to stand there and cook and explain what I was doing, but I didn't know how to do the rest of it, the cameras and the editing. And she's still doing it to this day, thank goodness. I keep thinking that she's going to go off and tour in a band or something. But yeah, she's semi-retired, so it keeps her busy too. Yeah, so we started doing these videos and they became popular. I don't know why, but they did.
I'm glad that you kept your earlier videos, because I went back and watched one of the early ones where it's just the hands. My goodness, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that was that was before the hand. They call them hands and pans, and all you see is the hands doing something. And one of the things that really held me back from doing my very first YouTube video where I would be on it, I was like, but people are going to see me. They're going to see that I'm doing a keto recipe and I'm still overweight. I was really hung up with that. I really thought that I had to wait until I lost more weight before I could go in front of a camera. The pride thing or whatever it was, that held me back for quite some time. And then I started watching other YouTube videos and what other people were doing. And I thought, there's a lot of people that are doing it in their journey. They're not all at the end of their journey. Some of them are even doing it at the start of their journey. And that kind of convinced me that it would be okay. I don't know what I expected. I thought people would mock me or something, but it didn't happen. The earth did not open up the first time I was on camera.
It's funny how people think that they need to be qualified, and we all do it, that you've got to be qualified to be able to do a certain thing. And I often hear this a lot, and I'm one of these people that's, no way, I'm not qualified. And sometimes that results in spectacular failures as well. But it's the value that you provide. That's the key thing. So no matter how much you know about something, if what you've done or said is valuable to another person, then you're now qualified to talk about it. That's the way I view it.
Yeah. I've come to realize that, and I've come to realize that people appreciate that I'm on the journey with them. I'm not in one of those people that have finished their journey, and I don't know if I'll ever finish this journey. I think it's a lifelong journey, because once you get, if I lose the next 30 pounds that I want to lose, what's a big job to maintain that and to, keep it interesting and to, if there's things that happen in your life you need to be able to navigate them as a more normal sized person. It's quite different being in the world as a normal sized person than it is being in the world as someone who's morbidly obese. And these are things that people need to see, that it is possible for someone who's morbidly obese to turn that around, even at a later age in life. It hasn't been easy. It's been rough sometimes, and I think people appreciate that. We all want it to be easy, but it's not for everybody. And so I think I got a lot of followers because they were like, oh, I can relate to her.
Losing the weight is one thing, but keeping it off is another, isn't it? And how easy or difficult has that been for you?
I'm still losing, but I have had long periods of time where my weight stayed the same. And so now I realize that was very good practice, because in my younger years, before I got on this low carb / keto / carnivore journey, I had a history of extreme diets and then extreme weight gain. I would be perfect on a diet. I would lose weight, a lot of weight, rapidly, like in an unhealthy manner. And I would put it back on just as fast when that diet was over, or when I just couldn't take it anymore. And so I spent probably the first 40 years of my life either racing up the scale or racing down the scale. I never spent any time at the same weight for a period of time. And that's what the plateaus and the stalls, I had many plateaus and stalls in the last 10 years. Weight loss does not go like that. It is, jagged. You're going up and down. When you have a lot to lose and you're healing as well at the same time, there's a lot of jagged edges there. So I feel like the plateaus and the stalls were like a maintenance. My body just refused to lose any more for the next 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever. And I would try different things and it would just stay. And then one day it would start going again. And I think I'm going to do okay in maintenance. I've had a lot of practice.
And what advice would you offer 50-year-old Anita?
The first thing I would say, because I have heard people say, I have a Facebook group, and sometimes women come in there and say, I'm 50, I'm 55. Is it even possible? I'm on these meds or that meds. And so a lot of people are coming to this not quite 100% believing they can do it. And I think what I would say is that it is never too late to start. Yes, if we have the opportunity to start earlier, we should. I wish that what I know now today, I wish I had known when I was, 20, 30, 40, but I didn't. And it's just it's just never too late. It doesn't matter if you're 50, 55, 60, 65. It's just not too late. Just start somewhere. And I would also say, as early as possible in your journey, think about the one ingredient foods and avoid seed oils, and anything in a box that's got 20, 30 ingredients, just run away. Just eat the real stuff. And you'll be amazed at how good you feel. And you just feel like you have more energy. You're almost aging backwards instead of forwards. That's what I would say to them. Get excited about it. Embrace the meat.
I always like to ask people if there's any sort of final thoughts or message that you'd like to leave the viewers with. And I know there's probably a lot of that just then, but is there anything else that you want to leave people with before we wrap it up?
The other thing I say to people, because I say this to myself all the time too, is just, even if you've given in, if you've had a bad day, you've done something you're not proud of or that didn't serve you well, just never give up. The sad part is not that you gave in, but the sad part is when people give in and then also give up. And it's just something that I've had to tell myself many times. And when you have a bad day, the other thing that I tell myself, because there's moments where I'm like, oh, I can't do this anymore. I just want to go to such and such a place and have such and such thing that I used to have. Consider the alternative. So if I do that, where will that lead? What will be the next step? Do I want to go back and weigh over 300 pounds? Do I want that? Because that is the natural evolution of what can happen when you do throw in the towel and give in. So, yeah, never give up is my final message.
And it's a really good one. Anita, it's been my pleasure to talk to you today, and I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you so much. I'm glad you asked me to come on your show.